Hey everybody, Breakthrough Health and Life Coach Glenn Hattem here. I'm here with my good friend Juanito Tamez, and we're here tonight to talk a little bit about, the podcast here is called the 1%, and we're here to talk a lot about what is the formula that helps an individual grow and transform throughout their life to be an expression of what life was meant to be. And so I'm so lucky to have my good friend Juanito here to talk a little bit about his journey and what's made him the man he is today. He's someone I highly respect and value his opinion on things, as well as the energy he brings to any room. When he leaves the room, it's felt. There's an impact. And we're so lucky to have him today to share a little bit about his journey, how we connected, and what he's working on next. And I think that's probably what we'll start off. Juanito, I'd love for you to maybe just introduce yourself as far as how you see yourself, because you've gone through a huge transition like myself in recent years, and maybe just kind of share a little about who you are now, and then we can we'll time track and we'll go back in time and talk a little bit about your unique journey, because you, my man, have been through some epic adventures to get to where you're at. This just didn't come out of nothing. This was molded over decades.
So my name is Juan Tamez, and I'm a 48-year-old man. And I wanted to, like Glenn is, I'm not really much of a life coach. I'm more of a camp director. In other words, that's kind of what I do, is I put things together where I take people on adventures. My trauma back in the day is real. A little bit about myself. I'm a fun guy. I'm a tough guy, and I'm an honest guy. Pretty much warrior and general, and I live like a god. So I talk truth. So that's kind of who I am. That's where I'm at now. And, we're going to get into it here in a little bit. So, but that's who I am. That's me.
Yeah, and I can say that for a fact. That is him, and that he can speak that without any hesitation and lives that. But to be that, I think a lot of folks nowadays try to project that when they're not really that, as you know, because you can test that. How was this forged? How was this this degree of masculinity, this degree of character and energy and fierceness and fire? How did this come about? Maybe start back with your upbringing. I think there's a beautiful, there's pain and there's beauty in your story.
Well, the masculinity, some might call it toxic now, but a lot of it's culturally speaking. It's my upbringing. It's being a migrant farm worker. It's living like a gypsy for, I say, almost a third of my life, working as a migrant farm worker. The toughness that goes with that is you don't have a fear of life because you travel all over the country. 3 months out of the year, you're going somewhere else. In school, mostly for 5 months out of the years, out of the grades that I went to, from from the 5th grade on up. I'm living basically a gypsy, living like that. The trauma is not nurtured from my mother. So a lot of my insecurities stem from that, from not being afraid. And that's kind of where the upbringing is being bullied a little bit as a kid, being made fun of for being, growing up 2 miles from the Mexican border. You deal with a lot of individuals that are killers and predators, and some even occultists. So you got to learn how to read people real quick, or you're not going to survive. And that's kind of where my warrior aspect comes from as a kid, is that fight or flight mode. I'm constant there. So I was able to read people from a beginning, and having that intuition has given me a voice where people vibe to me for advice, because they're too stuck in this European system where they go to school for 8 hours, get a 40-hour work week job, and all of a sudden they're in college and they're in debt, and then they find love, and then they find more debt, and then they look at their parents and are like, now what? And my philosophy has never, ever, ever been that. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where it starts from. There's pain there, but I've learned how to turn that pain into love, where I've learned how to, I don't know, manifest anger into my body. This is a manifestation of my anger growing up. I'm pretty comfortable saying that. It's not a flight or flight moment now, but people can aspire to be where I'm at, but they don't have to really go through the trauma and the violence that I did to kind of showcase that energy, you know. And you can attest to that. That's kind of where I learned from you, learning how to express myself through the written word. You know, it's one thing to be strong and tough. It's another thing to be strong, tough, and intelligent. And having a little of intelligence, reading and writing and getting your arithmetics done is part of, you know, my philosophy is as studying like a general, you know, because in war, the warriors go first, they're the pawns. At some point, I just don't want to be a warrior. I want to be the general where I don't have to actually do battle. You know what I mean? And that's where, you know, my philosophy stems from. You know what I mean? It's just, I live my moments in the present. That's part of the insecurity and the trauma that I've held for the longest time. Keeps me in that flight or flight mode, but, you know, I'm learning. But, you know, like I'm telling you, I don't project my lifestyle on people. If you vibe to it and you feel like you can connect, and this is what I do know. So, but yeah.
If you can hang with you, right? I know there's a rule to that. There's a couple rules to that.
Yeah.
Being able to hang in your space, meaning like, what do you bring? You know, and how are you showing up? How does someone need to show up with you to be able to hold space with you, and what your values are and what the code you live by these days? Because you've been through a lot. You've been through many evolutions and many crucibles. There's beautiful artwork on your body, but like there's many unshed tears in that.
Yeah. No, for somebody to hold space with me, you have to have honesty. Like I can read bullshit a mile away, because that's, again, stems from me being a kid in that flight or flight mode, that trauma. Holding space now, if you want my help, you know, I don't really judge people for what they want out of life. But if you're gonna hold space with me, as you say, and you wanna answer some questions, well, give me some truth. If I can relate to it, if I can understand it, or if you're just trying to be a victim about it. I don't deal with victims. I give you a pat on the back. Here's a good little shirt. Be on your way. But if
and you'll give them a warm cooked meal.
If you bring some honesty, you know, all I can really do is give you a nurturing feeling that I'm not going to tell you it's going to be all right speech. But
you definitely don't do that. You don't tell people it's gonna be all right. You're like, nah, man, it's fucked up. Your shit's fucked up.
Yeah, and you're never gonna be okay. You know, and that's part of the therapy that, you know, that you go and sit down, whether you're in a counseling group of 7 for AA or veterans, or you're one-on-one with a therapist telling them how you feel. And everything pretty much stems from whatever trauma gives you anxiety, whatever freaks you out, that makes you fearful of life. And where I'm at is I don't have any of those fears of life. I've never really had them. So that people look at me like I'm some kind of hero with that sense, but no, I'm just not afraid to speak my truth and be myself. My code back in the day when I was a migrant farm worker and dealing with that gypsy lifestyle and you know, just being around, you know, culture that's very violent. My dad used to tell me when I was a kid, he said, don't ever be afraid of another man, no matter who he is and what he's done in life. When it comes to women, they're never yours. They have their own spirit. They have their own minds. You can have a family, but they'll never be yours. So don't try to own them. Don't ever steal nothing to eat, and don't kill for money. You know, and the fourth one, people are like, what do you mean don't kill for money? Where I'm from, you know, if you sign up to take somebody and kill them for money or just rob them or just take something from them, then that's looked down upon. But if something has happened to you or your family and revenge is on the plate, well, it's best served cold, as they say. Those things are an eye for an eye, are pretty common where I'm from. Those are okay. But my point is, those are the rules. Those are the kind of like morals that I grew up with as a kid. I just kind of tweaked them a little bit. And then as I got to be a little older and wiser, I started understanding the ignorance of some things, and I started understanding the intelligence of some things. So I use both to keep on going forward with, I'm not really trying to heal, but I feel the most alive when I don't have to worry about something that I've said, or I sleep with a clear conscience, because whatever my nature is, that's who I am, and that's what I own. And people get inspired by that, and then that's on them. They feel good. Some people don't like them, you know, they can go fuck themselves. But either way, it doesn't affect me, good or bad. That's, you know, but again, that's just where the core of that stems from.
Yeah, that's been my experience of you. And yeah, I'd love for you to speak more to how these kind of iterations of what you grew up with, how that's taking you in this next, I mean, you've maybe sharing a little bit about who you were told you were growing up and what you came to learn. And then you become well studied and well versed in new possibilities and a new version of yourself that you keep starting to, my experience is we keep coming together.
Yeah.
Is this a new birth, a new iteration of Juan that just blows me away as far as what's possible within myself. Like I always see you as an access point to parts of myself that are there that you reflect back to me and point out to me as a fellow traveler, like you name it, you know, like you pierce the veil, no fluff. You know, you're someone I can trust because of your nature and who you are and what you're called forth in your walk in the world. Yes, you have your lessons learned just like all the rest of us and everything, but my experiences with you ain't a fucking yes man. You fucking tell like like it's very safe with you because of that. And I think that's what's maybe wrong, because I've experienced myself. Why that stands out for me is I've experienced myself when I've said yes when I really meant fucking no. And I think that's what's maybe wrong right now in our society with a lot of men. They're saying a lot of yeses. Starts off maybe with a couple, you know, okay, you know, but eventually it just becomes like, this is who I am. I'm just, you know, I'm just saying yes to things that are really fucking no.
Well, they're saying yes to the things that they can agree upon, but a lot of what you're running into, people that you know that you help and coach up, is they're fearful. Everything comes from fear. They're scared to be themselves, first of all. Like, I didn't invent myself. This is my pain. As a kid, where I would just bring it back up to what I don't like authority. I can respect it, but I don't like it. And what I mean by that is, in grade school, I used to raise my hand and ask questions like, why am I sitting here? You should be outside. No, you need to memorize this shit. And I was like, well, this isn't for me. And then having the outlet of working in the fields, I always figured, like you just asked me, what was I going to be? I figured I'd be still working there. So I didn't know no better. As far as college, saying as far as smart as I was, because I used to do really great in school. I used to get nothing but high marks all the way up to about the 10th grade. And I was like, the family support wasn't there. I'm like, well, this is pointless for me to show my dad these great marks that I'm getting, you know, A's and B's or all A's and some things. And they were like, hey, Juan, you can be a doctor, a lawyer, that old speech. I'm like, we don't even have groceries in the house, you know? And they're like, you want me to starve myself when there's no groceries for some dream, and then go to school and do other great things? I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. I got to survive now. I never believed in those stories, let alone I didn't want to be part of this European system. I knew as a kid that going to school for 8 hours was false. Working a 40-hour work week was false. Even when we were working in the fields, I still found it to be nature, picking fresh fruit from the trees, picking fresh fruit from the ground. It was still tribe-like because we ate with our closest relatives. It was a family, it was a caravan of different 10 to 12 different families. You know, there was 112 people a day.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, there's like a world that you were experiencing on a regular basis that was connected with the earth, connected with the natural movement and familia and you know, it's just widespread web. And then there was this cut off experience of
when they sent you to school.
It's like your feet have all these muscles to use, and you put them into a shoe and turn them all off and don't pay attention to them anymore and neglect them and wonder why your whole body breaks down over years. You, if I'm hearing that correctly, the experience that you had was like, this is the way. It was like, it's natural, it's nature. And then there's this artificial thing of like, you do this shit, and then one day,
there was like a reward in school. Like if you really get your marks up and you get great grades, there's an opportunity for you to go to college. And I was just like, go to college. Like I said, we were in survival mode. We don't travel 2,000 miles to just pick crops. No, we travel 2,000 miles to survive the next summer, the whole year. That's what working and saving money is all about. But these dreams, as far as like, hey, you could be, so-and-so in school and whatnot. I mean, I didn't even have good clothes to go to school to go wear. You know what I mean? People would make fun of my clothing because we were poor, and I could accept that as as I got a little older. But the point is, when I saw my grandfather have 3 army trucks and have 50 people in each, like you would see in a war zone, but we were going as a caravan to pick in the fields. And he knew that from, wherever he came from before. And then my uncles followed suit, where my dad's the youngest of like 9 or 10. And so I always grew up around big families because I grew up around my uncles. And I mean, I got an uncle that's a year older than me. So being in this culture of working, you grew up with a lot of family and friends all the time, mostly family. And to me, that was more of living like past, you would in the ancient times, is living with your family, celebrating with your family, eating with your family that were close relatives, and you're talking, like I said, 10, 12, 13 different families. And then you take that, and then all of a sudden you put me in a school system where I don't really know anybody. I'm the oldest of my brothers. I'm always the one going in there first and having a culture shock. Like, why am I sitting here in classroom? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm already making money. I'm already understanding what life's about,
And you're already learning like these key principles that you always share with me and others, which is like, like it's having a good meal, like maybe talk about that. What are those principles that are like,
well, having a good meal. Yeah. Having a good meal is, well, shit, Glenn. I mean, if you ask a girl on a date, where are you going? You're going for dinner, right? For the most part, having a meal over somebody, even a total stranger, there's a comfort in it. If you want to welcome somebody in your home, you add, hey, do you want something to eat? Do you want something to drink? So eating food is sacred because that's what everybody does, but you have to be comfortable with the people you're serving with. And then if you care about the people that you're entertaining or you're with, the nurturing of how you cook the food also as an expression of that. So food and eating is a big deal when you share time and energy with somebody else that you know or you don't know or you want to care about. That's why I hold it in the highest regards. You know what I mean? I mean, shit, even when you're going to be on death row, they give you like, you could have done all kinds of fucked up shit. And they're like, listen, what do you want to eat on your way out? Like, what's your last meal? What do you want to eat? And this is the government paying you this shit. So imagine just that, even in the lowest vibration that is, they still give you the meal that you want to eat on your way out for your last, for whatever you want to, have. So that's what I'm saying when it comes to food. Music, same thing, is another celebration of life. It's a vibration. It's an expression of art. Now, anybody like country, rock, roll, rap, whatever floats your boat. But, when you express yourself through song, your emotions, you can go through so many different emotions. Like when I want to go to the gym, I want to feel some rock, some drums, some boom, boom, boom. So will I be excited to pump some weight? When I want to reflect and be kind of connect to my innocence, I'll put some songs that I grew up with, some 70s, early 80s nostalgia, and it'll make me feel like what I did when I was a kid. So you basically go through love, pain, nurturing, unnurtured, mad, sad. And then when you go through this process, when you vibe out and you listen to music, you can actually be better with the next person that talks to you because you don't project that energy on them. You already went through this whole motion of healing by yourself. And whether it's good or bad.
I love how you say that. It's like you do your work you use what nature has
Yeah.
provided us, these beautiful gifts and arts and tools. So you don't project your bullshit. You deal with your shit. If everybody just dealt with their own shit, we probably wouldn't be dealing with all this crap going on in Ukraine and everything. It's like everybody needs to deal with their own inner turmoil and their own, you know, waves of emotions and things that move through us. And there are magical things provided for us here if we only open our eyes and ears to them and our mouths to them. There's everything's provided, right? You just have to see it.
Yeah.
You have to taste it.
Yeah.
So what else? Music, food. What else?
So
one more thing.
Well, it depends on like for me, music and food are the two biggest things. And then I like to be physically fit. So being physically fit, of course, obviously you got to go to the gym and get uncomfortable lifting weights, get uncomfortable.
You just said get uncomfortable lifting weights. Like a lot of people think like, oh, I don't want to work out today because the weather's shitty, or I don't want to work out today because like I'm sore from yesterday. I don't want to work out today because I don't, it hurts. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. I'm like, you know me, I like to go run in blizzards and do stupid things because I'm like, I'm out for a beat down and for a suffering to generate capacity and power. Like if I stretch my boundaries, then I'm there available for others. I wouldn't be able to do the work that I do, as you know, which is pretty intense work. I wouldn't be able to do that unless I drummed up, you know, I drum my beat and I put my work in. But it's not about like, I ain't going seeking pleasure.
No, I know. And I mean, training your body is uncomfortable. You get to a point where you get, comfortable doing it. But anytime you switch out your workouts, like if you just lift weights, I'm like, all right, I'm pretty good at lifting weights. Well, I'm like, all right, now come over here and let's hit the bag and let's hit the mitts. Let's do some fighting. Let's exchange, let's do some sparring. Now you're adding some other things, or like, oh, now we're going to do some sprints. So even for me now, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get uncomfortable. But I know these challenges are only going to make me better. And that's the key thing is the more uncomfortable I get, the more challenges I get. And that's physically being fit. There's a lot of things that you could say about people that work out. And that's a great thing. A lot of these guys have physiques, and women have these great physiques. But when I was telling you, what I don't see at the gym is my other philosophy of nobody works on the mind. You're not doing anything to stimulate your brain. You know what I mean? I put it in a low vibration where I make jokes and I'll go, okay, the gym is one place you can go where you can get your workout, that whatever you want to work on your body, you can exert yourself. And then you have your music that you can vibe to as loud as you want, that gives you the connection that we're just talking about. So you can feel the workout and have a better time. And then with the sexual energy that you carry, you can also look at the opposite sex or the same sex or whatever the fuck you're looking at, but it gives you a place where you can look at the opposite sex, listen to music, and get your workout, and all in the same environment where there's boundaries. You see what I'm saying? So all your brain goes through all these things where you're stimulated, you know what I mean? But there's boundaries to everything. You're not touching these chicks that are half dressed, but it's a nice stimulation. The music, you feel basically like you're young again. And what I mean by that is, I'll bring it back into the second where it comes to working on the mind. But, anybody that remembers being a teenager, your best days for me is sitting in a park, drinking a little beer, listening to some music, holding hands with a girl and making out. I'm like the coolest kid on the fucking planet. For anybody that feels that connection to their youth, they're always going to revert to their best days of the girl that they love, they care for, or they were infatuated with. And these are the memories that you reflect on as you get older. But these are the actions that once you kind of go through them, that's kind of where you get a haircut to attract the opposite sex, or you work out to get your body, or, you know what I mean? Like there's all these things and rituals that you do as a man to get more of those days and more of those feelings. You see what I'm saying? But now in our society, we're a little bit overstimulated as far as everything is instant. Everything is like a quick dopamine fix. And, you get a bunch of crack addicts on their phone that they don't want to experience life. To them now, the virtual reality is more real than the nature and being out there. And that's part of the problem where, at some point you're going to run into a wall. Because what if you don't get service? You see what I'm saying? And the stress is going to kick in, and for me, I could live without a phone. but the wife's like, you need one, and my kids, I'm like, I could do without anything. But now when people want to help, they're asking for my help. I'm like, all right, dude, I guess I'll start a social media page. I've never done it, and this. I just started the Instagram about 5 months ago, and people like to hear me talk shit. But I'm just basically talking about my memories and what I've done and where I'm going and what I do. But my philosophy really stems from, a place of innocence that gives you joy in life. And most people can remember when they
that's what I hear. That's what I hear, is a place of innocence that gives you joy in life. And I think you were going to mention there was one other piece to this, which is there's another component, the meditation, the journaling, the mindset piece. Yes, you can set your mind, I'm going to go and crush my workout, I'm going to look at other things, and I'm going to stimulate myself highly. But then there's an aspect of like unstimulating yourself and like removing the opposite of that almost. And how maybe just speak a little bit to that piece, and then that's probably pretty good. And then I think what we'll do is we'll wrap up today with that. And then I just want to maybe leave our conversation after that with a little bit about what you're up to in the world these days and how people can find you and connect with you. And I believe you've got a real powerful vision and a mission that you're really leaning into this spring and summer with some pretty wild adventures that well, I'll let you share that in a moment here about what you're opening up as an invitation for folks. But maybe share a little bit about the piece, how do you get the joy from life, and the peace of mind, the way that you're able to.
How do I work on my mind to relax?
Walk powerfully in the world while all these stimuli are going on. And not having to engage them like most people they think they got to entertain every single thought that comes through their head.
Well, you brought up a great point. I tried meditating, but I think I usually fall asleep. To be honest with you, I don't really. The breathing techniques that I have calm me down, but for me I got back on riding a bike with no headphones, getting back on my Jeep with no doors and no top. And I know some people, I'm still getting out and doing something, but sometimes I'll sit on the couch with I won't even turn on the TV. You know what I mean? And that's just learning to shut things off, and that's a big key if you're no noise other than not even hearing your voice, just quiet for a little bit and sitting there and reflecting on, life is pretty good if you're here, but also, it could go sideways, and just thinking, you think of things where like, I think about the adventures that I want to have, and I think about, my health. How do I get healthier, in the next 10 years? What's my mindset going to be like? Because I'm not really a follower of the fiat system. I don't really care about money like that. You know what I mean? And sometimes I'll make jewelry. I'll make these and it'll calm me down. It'll calm my spirit just to be creative. But, looking inward, through meditation, I try, I get a little bit of it, but I don't really tap into it. Like if I'm kind of a yogi, whatnot, I do things a little bit more external when I go outside. I walk my dogs with no noise, hearing nature, you know what I mean? The stuff like that.
You take time out though with your dogs or with your journals, even like you'll sit down and write in your journals, or you'll read books. You read a pretty wide spectrum of books, kind of like myself. You take time to just kind of analyze all this data that's coming at you. And you definitely take time to like sit back and observe. I mean, we could go into all the alpha stuff, but you sit back and you observe and speak when it's appropriate, so to speak, when it's a time to speak. Hey, that's bullshit.
Well, and that's the thing though, is once you reflect on your own, like I love journaling, and you kind of got me triggered on that. I started first when you said write your workouts, and I never really calculated them. I just make sure that the page was full. You know what I mean? And when it came to journaling, as far as like my trauma, I put some music to it, but I try to like get to a point where I had the great memories where I was in school, great memories of migrant farm working, and then bad memories. And what it did was it made me look at the pages when I read them over, and I was like, oh, this is my life. This is my truth. And it gives me a healing state where I'm like, all right, I put the memories where if somebody else wants to read them, they're fine. They can relate to that, and that's kind of where, with my mind, it helped me let go of some things, not all things, but just some of them. And the more I let go of some things, the less angry I am when it comes to, journaling. That's part of the little deal. But when I read, I mean, I'm dyslexic too, because in the sense where I grew up speaking Spanish first, not English. And I didn't never wanted to speak English till like I was in, 10, 11 years old, where I was forced in school to speak English. And I was, so things are kind of backwards for me. So when I started reading, I would do an audio book and kind of like sit there and I like comprehend what the dude was talking about. And then I get the book and then I read alongside of it. And that was kind of hard to do because some of them go pretty fast. So I'd have to slow it down, pause it, rewind it, and then try to comprehend it. Okay. And then after doing that about 3 or 4 times with 3 different books, I was able to sit down and quietly and just kind of follow my own deal without looking up of every word. Because I would struggle with words that were too big for me that I couldn't comprehend. I would like Google it and what it meant. And then after a while, I was like, all right, this is taking too much time. So I just kind of read it for what it was worth. And then I'd go back and like, all right, I didn't really comprehend that work. And then that's kind of how I started to even read, and comprehend what I wanted to talk about. But it gives you a mindset of intelligence where you can, not only am I just a brute about strength and fighting, I'm also now, in a sense, in a spiritual place where I can, breathe and become and be one with the earth. But I can talk shit with the best of them. Like, no, you're false in what you're saying. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I look at things. Like, you better have like if you give me a lecture on Genghis Khan, I'm like, all right, I'm going to watch your lecture on Genghis Khan. Then I'm going to ask, where did you get your references from? And then you'd show me all the books that you read. And after I read your book. And then I'd ask you a question once I debate you. And it's like, well, did you know Genghis Khan's little brother? You see what I'm saying? You see what I mean? So I try to like come back for things that were historically correct, but then also put a little twist on the family members that he had. It was just all him. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. To see why would you read Genghis Khan? And a lot of these things take energy, take time, but that's what kind of calms me down to get me into a point of intelligence. I can sit with the big boys, not stupid, but
you're bigger than words now. You become,
and that's the thing though, because I don't speak the English language well. People think I'm ignorant and stupid because I can't be as well spoken as they have. I said, well, if you're gonna make a point, I still understand it, but it doesn't make you right on some things. Say that shit to me with the same conviction in my language, in Spanish. You see what I'm saying? They don't have that same. It doesn't have that same conviction when you want to come across like you know more better. No, you don't. You might know some things. You just got great at work or whatever philosophy you have, but it's a one thing to be well-rounded in life and experienced in life. And one thing that I do know, though, if you carry yourself with some intelligence and you have the strength to back up what you say and a sort of a fighting skill and a spiritual sense that goes with that, people vibe to it. People gravitate towards that. They respect it. You don't have to say anything. Like, I don't go up to people and be like, hey, you guys need help with anything? I'm like, fuck, I I barely have time for me. But somehow that's my purpose on this planet. People vibe to me for guidance. And I don't lie about anything. You know what I mean? I'm transparent when it comes to it. And when I call bullshit, I call bullshit. But what I'm really trying to do, my whole purpose is to get our savagery back as a man. You know what I mean? Get that swag back. You know what I mean? It's not toxic. Is it toxic? Like if you're going downtown in Fort Collins or in Boulder and you're walking holding hands on Pearl Street and you are the way you are, right? And here comes some assholes talking shit to you and you got to defend you and your girl and your dog. Well, it wasn't toxic masculinity to push people away, me giving you shit, right? No, there's honor and courage and be like, hey, don't tell me some shit. I'm not going to put up with it. But as soon as you defend yourself through other issues, whether it be religion, political, or fucking, whatever social media fucking topics going on there, you look at it as a man talking shit. But, and that's the thing, though, is I was telling a buddy of mine, everybody's in a fearful state. And what I mean by that is they're so quick to grab their phones and record you as if, what are you going to do? I'm recording you as if the police are going to stop anything from actually happening. You still got to go to court. What these individuals don't understand and where this society is going, there's people like me and there's other human beings that they don't give a fuck about the phone. You're still going to get punched in the fucking face or get dealt with in a violent way. The phone doesn't save you from anything. But a lot of times they're like, oh, he brushed up against me or he touched me or he pushed me or he yelled at me. Yeah, do what you need to do. record it. I'm telling you, I'm coming back for more. I'm taking you out of that space that you feel protected because your recording device is going to give you some kind of power over me. It does not. And that's what I'm bringing back, is the confidence and the courage to speak your fucking mind. Not everybody's going to agree with you. Not everybody has to like you. But I can sleep well at night telling people to go fuck themselves. I'm not going to be afraid of what you think you can do. And my conviction, further than most, goes a little further. And that's part of this image that I create. Don't poke the bear, motherfucker, because I'm not really a teddy bear. You know what I mean? I'm really not. And with my violence, as you understand, I grew up 2 miles from the Mexican border, traveled like a gypsy. I've seen a lot of bad things. That doesn't make me more of a killer than somebody that went to Afghanistan, but I know the rules, and the rules of engagement dealing with human beings. They're so quick in this society to be offended, which is fine. You can be offended. You don't have to agree, but don't bother the person that doesn't want to be bothered with your shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And don't record it and send it out like you think it's going to make a fucking difference.
You got a lot of people who shouldn't be poking bears.
And that's the thing, though, is, I'm not the only one. People, I'll give you an example. 2 of my friends, I make jewelry for them. I give them this is just a reminder for you to express yourself through art. And what I mean by that, whether you dance, whether you sing, whether you rap, whether you play guitar, whether you fight, it's just an expression of art to keep you going forward, to keep you from being overwhelmed with stress. So you don't get a panic attack. You don't get anxiety. You don't get scared of fucking work or your boss. You know what I mean? If you really want to listen to somebody, this is somebody that's healthy with their bodies, healthy with their mind, and see how the people vibe to them and see what their character is, not what the fuck they pay you for or with their status with whatever part of the community. I could never take advice from a fat piece of shit telling me, hey, I got to do this and that. I'm like, you don't even take care of yourself. You're going to tell me you're going to take care of me, you're going to love me by paying me these things, or you say you care for me? No, you don't. If you see a sick, and that's what I'm saying. To me, when I see somebody that, not to fat shame anybody, but when I see somebody that's not healthy in their mind and not healthy in their body, if they don't care about themselves, you think they're going to give a shit about you? You see what I'm saying?
And one thing, I've witnessed with you, Juanito, the power you bestow with others, the light that you light on other people. You train a lot of badass, MMA fighters and regular folks. I see you help people find their fire that's there. You like a giant mirror, you show them this is inside you. And you helped me with that. But I've witnessed you go through a pretty amazing transformation, because I don't know if you can even show your hands to the camera, but like, you grew up, what does it say? Vato Loco?
Vato Loco.
Okay, because you're proud Mexican, right?
Yeah. And now, I'm indigenous. I'm Apache. Now watch that. Get you now. You know what I mean? So finding out that I'm indigenous through the 23andMe and ancestry and stuff like that, and having Comanche blood, I'm only a little percent Spanish European when it comes to my bloodline. And what it did for me, it validated my existence. And what I mean by that, the transformation was like, I never wanted to be an adult fucking living in the suburbs, mowing the fucking lawn on a goddamn Saturday, where I'm save money for my kids while they fuck it off in college. Like, that's some white boy shit to me. You know what I mean? Like, I never understood that. But that was like, hey, dude, you need to get yourself in debt, this and that. Like, all this American dream, I never really vibed to it. I never really believed in it. And then as I got a little older, and the shit that I say, people can respect it, and they understood it. But now it validates me more to like, I can't go back in time where we're going to ride horses and shit and start shooting bows and arrows. That's not what I'm talking about. But consciously, I can go back and be like, listen, fuckers, you guys, this system hasn't been it's not been here long enough for it to make an impact on my future and what I want to do. You know what I mean? This country is young, and I love being an American. Don't get me wrong. I go to Mexico, I'm not a Mexican. You see what I'm saying? I go to Pine Ridge right now, I go to Navajo, I'm not a native. And they're going to be like, hey, dude, you look like a fucking street thug, which is, I'll project this ignorance. But what I'm saying to you, though, is understanding being indigenous gave me a respect for the planet. You know what I mean? Because that's what the culture is. Speaking the language makes me feel connected to the past. And it gives me a purpose to like, make, some of the younger generation not follow the American dream that I didn't follow. You know what I mean? I don't believe in my son's going to war and dying for a country that don't love him like that. But I can respect the flag as far as celebrating with friends and family over a 4th of July, regardless of what the holiday was. You see what I'm saying? It's about community, friends, and friendship, not war and violence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as I look at my patriotism like that. But what I'm saying to you though is I want to be able to connect with the younger youth and be like, listen, whatever your bloodline, whether you're, even as it was a white kid, if you're Viking, if you're, Germanic, well, speak the language. There's so many shows that they're out there now because people are trying to connect to that ancestry. Now, not everybody's going to grow their hair out and start wearing around throwing an axe because, you just can't do those things. But you find a purpose to express yourself. And that's what I'm saying. Now, being indigenous now gives me a way to express myself. When I make jewelry for people, it gives me a way to express myself. You know what I mean? And that's all I'm trying to get people to do.
Let's talk briefly about that one. So, one thing I love about what you're up to in the world now is you have your own, online presence you're developing, but the message is very clear. The message is like, you don't see colors. You see other soulful beings. I mean, you and I have crossed paths, and we connect on a deep spiritual plane. And that medicine there is what you're about with your jewelry and how you show up. I mean, you connect with people, and you're like, hey, I don't know you, and you need some help, and you need some guidance. Like, let me make something beautiful that's almost like a tattoo that someone will get. It's like, hey, I see you, and come on some break up some of your own individual journey that you're on, and get out of your box. Come out with me. Come out into nature. Let me show you the nature of things. Let me show you what is childlike play. I know you and I, were absent of some things growing up, and so there's a big driving force of our calling and our healing, our own personal healing, is bestowing that access point to others to like free themselves from this bullshit.
I mean,
get out.
Yeah, growing up by the ocean, even when I lived in California too, the beach was 35 minutes away. I lived in South Texas, the beach was 20 minutes away. I grew up surfing. I grew up in the water, and we were poor. My dad didn't buy us surfboards. I used tire tubes. I ride my bike with a big old flat tire, and then I pump it up at the beach, and I air it up. And it had these big old needles that would scrape me and scratch me all over the place. And the rubber on the tube would, with the sand, it would chafe my nipples. It would chafe my skin. But I was so comfortable being in the water, I was able to surf a tube at 8-10 years old, and that was the best feeling for me is surfing in the water like that, being connected to the earth in that sense. And I didn't even have a clue. I was just trying to escape my family bullshit from getting yelled at or getting put to work or just being neglected. You know what I mean? Just, it was an escape from my childhood shit with my mom. I didn't want to get the shit kicked out of me sometimes, so I'd go to the beach. You know what I mean? Until my dad dropped me off. Same thing when I was riding BMXs. Well, my bike wasn't the best, but I could freestyle with the best of them. The point is, on these adventures that I take out people now, I found a way when I was in the last 10 years to get my innocence back. How do I get my innocence back? Well, I started smiling once I got back on the bike. Started riding my bike around Wash Park. Started going downhill mountain biking. And the feeling that I had of joy I hadn't felt for so long. And for the longest time, I was so in tune, training fighters, striking, fighting, raising my kids, and to all this philosophy of hey, toughen up kind of speech. But I was losing that innocence that I had, the smiling, like, what am I supposed to do? Where am I going to get my fun? I know you guys are getting yours, what you need from me, but I haven't got anything that I need from me. You know what I mean? And that was part of my journey that made me change my philosophy. I started smiling again. You know what I mean? I mean, writing a journal is great, but you can't live those memories. So how do you connect that?
So Juan, what I've heard from you that's been loud and clear in your messaging with your online message out to the world is, I'm inviting anyone, no charge.
Yeah, I don't charge anybody anything.
Yeah, come reach out to me, and let me show you how to be a kid again, and let me help you escape this bullshit. I forget the quote from Point Break you like, because I know you're if you give people your address, it's Juanito Utah, right, on Instagram.
Yeah, Juanito Utah. Yeah,
Juanito Utah. But what's the quote from the movie about, like, people?
Well, he basically he's on the beach. He's on the beach.
Short version.
Patrick Swayze. And he's telling this group of guys that are surfers, and they're, of course, they're bank robbers, but they're only stealing money to go on these surfing adventures. And that resonated with me when I was a kid. I mean, I was already like in the 8th, 9th grade. And what it did for me was when he gives the speech on the beach, like, hey guys, we're worried about the FBI because we're robbing banks, but this was never about money. This is us against the system. And to show that the human spirit is still alive, and showing these people that drive in their metal coffins to work, this is another way of getting back that human spirit. So that resonates with me in how I live my life. You know what I mean? To me, that's against the system, you know what I mean? And I've always been inspired by that speech. It's just another way of the human spirit that is just a joy. And you know, you're just gonna with me for over a weekend, you're gonna have fun for 3 days. You know what I mean? Not everything's gonna be great. You know what I mean? As far as, you know, pushing yourself through endurance as riding a bike, because you're gonna get winded, or being on the river for 4 hours, you're gonna be tired in the sun. But you know, there's little moments of joy that you catch yourself that you wouldn't normally do. You know, and what my philosophy is the more the human spirit that you feel alive, the more connected others are wanting to connect to you, and the less fearful of life you're going to be. And that's the key. You know, it all comes down to fear. I'm scared to get on a raft. I'm scared to get on a bike down here. I'm too overweight. Listen, I'm scared to lose weight. I don't know what my old ladies, people want to stay in their comfortable box.
So
and that's fine. They can do that.
Let me take it here for a moment, Juanito, because I think just going back to what I said earlier is like Juan of Utah. You go find Juan, direct message him. There's an invitation to you. You can stay in the box you're stuck in right now, or if you're in Colorado or you want to come from outside of Colorado, the invitation is come. He'll make you a really cool necklace, right?
Yeah.
And he'll take you on an adventure to really drop into your heart space and your truth. And I tell you, I've been on those rapids with you. I've been on the mountain bikes with you, and you find yourself, and you find that courage, that fire, your true self, and you start speaking your true voice fully. And there's magic that happens when you get out of this, like you just described, kind of just this lethargicness that comes from the system. You can get out of the system, out of this matrix for just a little bit, and you see what's really underneath all the bullshit. There's a lot. I mean, we've had a lot of laughter. We've had a lot of like scared the crap out of me. And I've never felt more alive. And he knows, he's seen me when I went from one place to like on that raft, and him like turning back, looking at me, and him having a shit-eating grin on his face, because he's just like all about that moment.
Yeah, it's when you smile about life, man. That's it really comes down to, you know. And I think when, you know, it's not that it's my adventures taking you out. It's just I have a network that gives that. You know, I'm able to be like, listen, I have friends that help me, family that helps me, and those that are, but I only really do it for those that like, you got to come with it. I don't waste my time.
You got to come with
free vacation.
That's not what it's about at all. No, you come to work. You're coming to work.
Yeah, you're coming to, and it's not for me to like judge what it looks like at the end of the day. No. You know what I mean? We all got a sad story. We all come from bad places. We all talk shit. You know, we all come from heartache. And, you know, it's, to me, it's just like, if you're going to be in my presence, you can't lie about anything. And that's one thing that I like to see the hero in people. I like to see the hero in you, you know, have the courage to change things about yourself. You know, what are you willing to do, or how are you wanting to get uncomfortable? You know what I mean? And you know, I'm not a great climber. I'm 275 pounds. I can't, you know, tippy toe up a mountain, but I tried a few times and I get nervous. I get scared. And these are challenges that, you know, that I have to go through just to kind of like get grounded again and have, because it's hard for me to find fear. I don't, you know, I have to find adrenaline things to put me in a where I'm gonna get a little nervous, you know. And I think I come out a little bit better once I challenge myself, you know, so I can relate to people like, hey, dude, I get scared too. I'm not a fucking tough guy. You know what I mean? And not just with adrenaline sports, but just, you know, dealing with criminals around. You know, I don't like somebody that looks like me preaching ignorant shit, jail, prison, convict, this and that. I'm like, dude, those are the things like, no, not around me. That's not going to happen. You know, that's just negative energy. It's low vibration to me when I see that shit. So, and that's for me. I like to help, you know, in all walks of life. That's the key is putting in the work, you know, but you know, I'll tell you this though, Glenn, the position that you're in, you know, you're a life coach. I'm a camp director. That's the difference. You see what I mean? I know, like, I want to be, I guess, like a life coach when it comes to talking this, but I am more of a camp director feel to it. That's where I'm at. You know what I mean? Where there's groups of people that can express all from, you know, it's because that's what, and the camp director thing for me is basically, again, take it back to my childhood. 10, 12 different families sitting down in a field in the middle of nowhere, sharing a meal with music in the background, you know, for at least 45 minutes. And that's, you know, you get up and it's like an adventure. We all get up at 5:30 in the morning. The cars and the exhaust starting before the sun even comes up. Then at the crack of the dawn, you're in the field already. And sometimes the corn is wet and you see different people, for me, family members that are dealing with the elements a little differently. Some wake up a little slower. Some need a caffeine. Some are still drinking a beer. Some are still partying from the night before. So you see different human beings in different parts of their morning and lunch and the afternoon and how they go through about the day, because everybody's different. And that's what I want to do. It's like, express yourself however you feel. There's no, hey, do it my way or the highway. It's however you get up to do your stuff.
Let me take it from there, Juanito. I think camp counselor is a really great description of it. You set the container for experiences. And I know we're only going to have a 5-minute call here, and good luck with that when it's me and Juan. But what I want to emphasize most, you know, from this, that I think can be at least what I'm pulling from this. Everyone's going to pull something different, but is that you can go to Juanito. How do you spell that on there? So people
JUANNY Utah, UTAH.
Go check out Juan.
Yeah, I mean, that don't matter to me. I don't.
Yeah, let me.
I don't hashtag or any of that. It's just, I just kind of use it as a platform for now to people see what I'm doing.
Start there. Connect with Juan, and Juanito's going to basically, you know, how you show up, what's going on, what do you want to work on, and you know, ask for help, ask for adventure, you know. Closed mouth don't get fed. So if you want to connect with, I found someone who's had an enormous impact on my life. I surround myself with lots of kings, and that's why I am who I am. And I have that kingship, you know, reflected back to me and the work that I need to continue to do, the issues I need to work through. We need people who will speak truth, unadulterated. And that is my experience of you, brother. And I'm so blessed that we've crossed paths and we've had some incredible adventures. We're going to have many more, I know. And well, those will probably be showcased in some fashion or another. But I hope that, you know, maybe one person through this listen reaches out.
I'll tell you this though. So you kind of, because you talked about the kings that you surrounded yourself with. I don't have kings. But I have created champions from no athletic ability, no intelligence, and coming from a place of violence or neglect. That's what I do. I'm just a messenger on the road to give you some tools to go, this is the way if you want to be healthy or own your shit, and this is the way if you want to be ignorant and be sick. It's up to you. You make the choice. But what validates me is, you know, I've trained world fighters. I've created world fighters, guys that are legit in combat sports. I have the respect of the ignorant gangster shit because of the trauma that I've gone through. But I also have, in other words, I've coached enough kids and men and women where I don't want any credit for me helping them. They already knew. There's nothing I've been saying that you guys don't already know. I just hold you accountable for what you say. And I push you to the brink of being uncomfortable to train, to study, to read, to express yourself. And if it's sometimes it's too intense, well, then, hey, go to see a therapist, talk about your feelings, cry yourself a river. But I'm a different breed of coaching and understanding, not that it's my way, the right way, but, just food for thought, the guys that I've trained and talked to and my sons, and, they're built like Greek gods.
Oh yeah, your
They're
sons are
through music,
jacked. Yeah, they're jacked,
you
and they
know,
got fight power with them, and they're beautiful artists. They're creative
yeah.
expressions. I mean,
But
very
they
talented.
weren't when they were in high school.
No,
They were getting all left. They were fighting, and I used to tell this is where I bring it back to sacred food, and then we can move forward. When my kids were in high school,
and
I didn't have custody.
let's also wrap this up too.
Okay.
And we'll save this. We'll
Okay, save it for next
yeah,
time.
let's save it for
Save
next
it for next
time.
time.
This is good, just because I know people have the attention span of doorknobs sometimes,
Yeah.
and we covered a lot of train. But I just want to say thank you for everybody who's patiently sat in and listened through here. And there are some really incredible nuggets that in hearing what Juan's saying today, for me, I have experienced at a visceral level, at a cellular level, some transformations that have happened in my life from knowing you and the activities we've engaged in together as brothers.
Mhm.
And so I hope, I hope someone will ring you up and just reach out for some incredible, a different kind of support than maybe, is traditionally being marketed and promoted out there. The invitation is, hey, come hang out with a good dude who's got you. It's all good. Like, just show up, just be. And like, this is the way it used to be. It's like, you need somebody, you want to work on some stuff. You want to work some stuff out that you need to be working out because you need to be doing your work. Like, this is the way it is. Like, you got people that will get you, that will care enough for you to care enough about yourself to handle your shit. Because it's not you ain't gonna be able to hang out with Juanito if you're not handling your shit and not hear about it.
Yeah. I mean, they don't need to reach out to me. It don't matter. I want them to reach out to you. I'll go where you're at, and I'll give you a layup as far as me being there and kind of be like, all right, because you're already doing that kind of work. Like you know what I'm saying? But I can validate what you're saying and how you're coaching and the respect that you deserve for doing what you're doing. I can sit there with you and kind of just vibe off for you for what that goes on with. You know what I mean? So
yeah. I
got you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Good. Well, with that, I'm just going to say thank you, everybody, and thank you, Juanito. I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody. And there'll be more conversations here, of course.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Bye-bye.